Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Sunday service of Now Creations. It's always a joy to remind you that the most important aspect of who you are is the God presence at the very center of your being. You are an eternal soul spirit, much more than just the human body. Please keep remembering this each day. You're an eternal soul spirit. Just a couple of announcements. If you have not made your reservations for our picnic, we welcome you to do so. Just go to our website, click on Annual Picnic, and all of the details will be there. And also, later on this evening, I should say, if you're able to join us for What is Light Body from 7 to 8:30, I think it would be very beneficial for you. Let's begin. My dear friends, I am very pleased to announce, to present the fact that so many of our recent teachings, namely being an attribute of God and living the principles and values of the Holy Spirit, have sparked deep, resounding chords within yourself. You have been willing to open yourself more fully to the conscious Spirit of God at the very center of your being. This opening was clearly indicated by two of our members recently, when each one of them said that living from their spiritual center really works. They put these teachings to the test in concrete situations, and the results were wonderful. Perhaps a little surprising to them, but very, very wonderful. Such results are obtained because of two things. The first thing, you are taking the time to absorb the teachings. That is just such an important thing to understand, to take the time to absorb the teachings. And then secondly, you're applying them to concrete situations. Today's teaching is presented to assist you to develop the effectiveness of your spiritual living even more. The title of today's teaching is Sustained Thought. Sustained Thought. I will begin with two spiritual titans concerning sustained thinking, address the principles of sustained thought, and then present the practical application. Today's teaching is very solid, very important for you. I'm going to focus on a main point in the teaching. I'm going to tell you now it's going to be a main point, and when we get to it, I want to focus again on it being the main point. Again, you might want to take away your photographs right now and just move to mute. Let's begin. At the turn of the 20th century, there were many New Age thinkers in a sense, who began a new series of teachings. In the ethers, there just seemed to be something that the world was ready for, new, different, and a better age of thinking than the old stuff. Two such titans of New Age thinking were Ernest Holmes in his monumental book, The Science of Being, that many of you have read. Lesser known at the time, but more and more familiar to the people of Now Creations, because we are presently studying two of his books, The Impersonal Life on Monday morning and Christ in You on Tuesday afternoon and evening, is Joseph Benner, who lived in nearby Akron, Ohio. While each of these titans added their unique teachings, each one of them had their own wonderful touches, and each of them seemed to combine when it concerned a basic direction in their teaching. That basic direction in their teaching can be summarized in the following statement: sustained thought has the power to create. Sustained thought has the power to create. I'll say it one more time. Sustained thought has the power to create. You notice the effectiveness of thinking. The important thing for us is not just to think every once in a while, but to have that sustained thought. Oh, it's nice to have phrases such as the power of positive thinking, or where the mind goes, the energy follows. But it's quite another. It's quite another to have sustained thinking about an idea. It is only sustained thought that creates the idea. You clearly see that while it is wonderful to have wonderful thoughts, such as, I am the love of God in human form, terrific. I am an eternal soul spirit, absolutely wonderful. I have not left my source. Indeed, we have not. I live by the qualities of oneness and love. Indeed, we do. I am a biological transducer of spirit. Yes, we are. And the Holy Spirit is my guide. But the effectiveness of such ideas is only achieved by sustained thought. As you are probably now surmising, now and then attention to such thinking will yield only very limited results, if any results at all. The thinking needs to be sustained if it's going to be creatively effective for you. We have to sustain our thinking. That's where two of our members recently that I mentioned in our introduction today were quite surprised. They were willing not only to absorb the principles, but to sustain the thinking. And that's what made the application so effective in their concrete situations. Thus, let me now share with you the 3 principles of sustained thinking. Please jot them down. I think that they will be quite helpful for you. The first principle of sustained thinking comes from one of my favorite teachers in the realm of ethics, Immanuel Kant. Kant taught me so many things about what it means to be ethical. But for me, it was always his very practical approach that most moved me. He said that the first step in wanting to be ethical is your willingness to do so. You must be willing. You have to want to be ethical. Applying this to the spiritual is very clear for us. You must be willing. You must be willing to be spiritual. You must want to be spiritual. We realize the worth of being spiritual, both here and beyond. So I will now focus on what I think to be extremely important for us, and that is that next step. Granted the fact that we want to be spiritual, it is that next step that we need to put into practice. Here we go with that second step. The second step will test how willing you are to advance. The second principle is the title of today's teaching, Sustained Thought. To achieve the higher standard of spiritual creativity, you must have sustained thought of that idea. Not just a now and then thought, but a sustained thought. This is where most people fail. They give up. They want an immediate fix. And they do not have a sustained thought. One must come to realize the importance of being very definite in what you want, but also to sustain that idea. It takes time. It takes time to allow your thought to be absorbed into your personality thought. It takes time to allow your soul thought to be absorbed into your personality self. It takes time for your personality self to adjust itself to your new idea and to allow the personality self to begin to vibrate with the energy that will then attract the external energies to achieve your desire. I'm going to say that again. It takes time for your personality to absorb your soul's idea. It takes time so that your personality self can start vibrating with the energy that attracts the manifestation. You probably guessed by now, this is the main point. This is the main point. In addition to the idea of your soul, of what you want, the desire of the personality self must be activated. The desire of your personality self must want to do the work. If not, it'll resort back to an old habit. You'll give up. You'll falter. It is your personality self that must now be infused with the intention of your soul. It is only done by sustained thinking. A couple of helps might be helpful to you. The first one is, it might be nice every once in a while to voice your soul's intention, to speak it out loud, or to write it down. Again, put this to the test. See if speaking your idea aloud or writing it down will truly assist you. What your personality self needs is to be impelled by your soul's intention, and speaking it out loud, writing it down is so very helpful. When your personality self is fueled by your soul's desire, when your personality self speaks aloud and affirms that you want to achieve the growth of your soul, when your personality self writes the goal down and you earnestly desire to achieve it, then see if the substance of your soul's thought begins to materialize, because you have directed your consciousness in all of the activities of your mind, all of the activities of your body, by your soul's intention. And when your mind and your body resonate with that intention, then they attract the events that you'll need in your life to manifest. Stay disciplined. Proceed with certainty and determination. Don't give in to doubt or fear. Don't falter. Don't give up too soon. And then see. And then seek, if not sooner or later, that idea actually comes forth into manifestation. This method of sustained thought presented by Ernest Holmes and Joseph Bennett, to create the realities of our life, is such an important bridge between your soul's desire and your external manifestations. In the past, many times you didn't have the confidence because of the old past habits within you, didn't have the confidence you could do this. You just didn't think that you were powerful enough to accomplish higher ideas, which now leads us to the third principle of sustained thinking, the soul's intention. This third principle, the soul's intention, has four aspects. The first aspect, you notice that I said that the third principle of sustained thinking concerned the soul's intention, not the intention of the personality self, the soul's intention. So often, your personality self has its own agenda, and you do not consult. You do not consult the priority of your soul's guidance. Don't you see, this is how life gets in the way. There are just so many things you feel your personality self has to get done. And then you allow your personality self to take over for your soul's guidance. You used to be like this. You used to be like this. You had that daily stuff you just had to get done, which then generated more stuff that you had to get done, and more stuff. You get the idea. At one time, you were like many other people who simply allowed life to get in the way. And then you said, I'm going to get to that spiritual center eventually. And it never happened. Until you started to have a sustained thought about growing spiritually. As I said, you used to be like this, but not anymore. Through the promptings of the soul, through the promptings of your soul, you are now hearing a different voice. You want to move forward. You want to manifest a different reality. You want your higher self to come forward. And you clearly realize that the highest sense of your personality self is to manifest your soul's intention. It's only going to happen through sustained thought. You are no longer dumbing yourself down. You are no longer dumbing yourself down to the limitations of that personality self that imprisons you. Rather, you are now ready to allow the highest sense of your soul self to manifest through your personality self. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Life is no longer getting in the way. Do you understand what you're accomplishing? Finally allowing the God Spirit to be your directive energy. How many times have you said in the past, oh, I just want to do the will of God, just want to do the will of God. But your personality self intruded. The old habits of your personality self seem to be too difficult to get beyond. Not anymore. Not anymore. Now you're ready. You're ready to be the grandest version of the greatest vision of who you are from now on, not only here on the earth, but from now on, wherever you might be. Second aspect. With this idea of your soul in your mind, may I suggest that you move into the fullness of the thought. Move into the fullness of your thought. No holding back. Clearly acknowledge your spiritual idea. Give it sustained thought and move into its fullness. For example, if your thought is the following, and it's a good one, I am the love of God in human form. Hold it in continued thought. That sustained thought. This is what one needs to guide the personality again and again and again. Don't look into your past. That's the old stuff from separation. But rather, what do you want to be in the future? Do you not want to be the love of God in human form? Come out of your closet. Come out of your closet. How do you want to live from now on? From now on, no longer pretending that you are the love of God in human form. Rather, focus on these three words: no holding back. No holding back. And these other three words: act as if. Act as if you are the love of God in human form. Do not hold yourself back. And please do not allow others, do not be intimidated by them. No holding back. Act as if you are. And thus, as you do so, as you do not hold back, see what happens. Put the idea to the test. Allow it to become powerful for you. This notion of power brings us now to the third aspect. Some parts of this you'll know. Some parts of it you need to hear again. You are well acquainted with the principle, the law, that is the foundation of the third aspect. But again, there's a simple difference between what the law inspires you to do and then doing it, so that you can experience the power of the law for yourself. The principle is, the law is the law of attraction. You know the law quite well. The law states, whatever you focus on increases. Whatever you focus on increases. I'll say it one more time. You know it. Whatever you focus on increases. Two things become very important. First, do you not clearly understand how the law of attraction supports the importance of sustained thinking? The more we put our sustained attention to an idea, such as, I am the love of God in human form, the more focused we are. That thought begins to manifest. Have you not found this to be absolutely true? Sustained thinking is the key. The law of attraction works through sustained thinking. It's the bridge between the law of attraction and the manifestation. Yet it's the second understanding of the law of attraction that is even more significant. Listen closely. The law of attraction is a law of the universe. The law of attraction is a law of the God Spirit. The law of attraction is the creative law of consciousness. It is how we go about putting ideas into expression. Again, do you not see that sustained thinking is the bridge between the law of attraction and its expression? Don't hold back. Act as if. Put your idea to the test by understanding that the law of attraction is so supported in practice by sustained thinking, which now leads us to the fourth aspect. The fourth aspect is similar to the saying, where the mind goes, the energy follows. But there's a new additional understanding that is very important for us that the newer saying adds. The new additional saying is, ideas in the mind produce their kind. Ideas in the mind produce their kind. You probably have heard quite clearly that the key word in that saying is ideas in the mind produce their kind. The word produce is so important. Why would you have an idea in your mind if it didn't produce anything? It would make no sense. Ideas without production are senseless. But if an idea in your mind produces its kind, why would you not then have the best ideas that really produce the best results, that really give you more bang for your proverbial buck? You clearly begin to see that for the idea to be productive, to produce its kind, the idea must be sustained in your mind. To produce its kind, the idea must be sustained in your mind. So, for example, is it not true that because you have heard the idea that you are the love of God in human form, because you being the love of God in human form have sustained this thought within yourself, is it not producing the kindest and best life you've ever had? Now, come on. Isn't this what's happening? You have an idea, fueling it with the law of attraction and sustained thought, and it is producing its kind. Sustained thinking produces creative results. Before concluding, may I say that in addition to being the love of God in human form, I have another idea that I personally have been sustaining in my thinking. That idea is, I am a living light body in a physical body. I've been sustaining this thought for quite some time. I am a living light body in a physical body. I share this thought with you to encourage you to formulate your creative ideas and give them sustained thought. I would never ask you to do something that I haven't tried out. But I have tried this notion of sustained thinking and find that it's the only thing that works and improves the quality of our lives. I happily pass it on to you. Sustained thinking works. Happy to share its power with you. In conclusion, it's such a joy to witness the effectiveness of our spiritual ideas as we put them into expression, raising the quality of our lives and the quality of the lives of our family and friends by sustained thinking. Not now and then, but sustained thinking. Sustained thinking is the creative power of consciousness. Put it into practice. And remember, sustain the idea. But oh, by the way, let's continue to sustain our thought that we are a spiritual community, raising the quality of all of us to support the individuality of each of us. It's a good thought to sustain. Let me now take you into meditation, and what a joy it is to do so. Thoughts, thoughts, thoughts. So many of them pass through your mind during the course of the day. But periodically, you begin to understand that there are certain thoughts that are foundation. I'm not here to tell you what your foundational thoughts are. I will suggest the one we've been working on for quite some time. I am the love of God in human form. I am the love of God in human form. But doesn't that get tested? Doesn't that just get tested so many times? It gets tested within your own self when you don't do your daily spiritual practices. Then you start whining and complaining to yourself. Very easily tested, when someone says something that you don't quite like or agree with, and you want to put judgment and criticism upon them. Hardly the love of God in human form. Do you not understand that it is just your old habits that are cropping up? It's your old habits. Whining and complaining about yourself. I'm too fat and too skinny. I want to do better and seem not to do it at times. old habits of judging others who disagree with us. Do you not clearly see that you must, from your soul, intend something different? Yes, I am the love of God in human form. That intention now needs sustained thought. That's what we're doing here in our Sunday service, in our weekly practices. We're sustaining the thought. We're focusing on it and allow it to be powered by the law of attraction. It is not clearly evident to you that your personality self, your mind, emotions, and body, your worldly self, need to vibrate with your soul's intention. And that's the problem. You hit a bump in the road. And you just resort back to the old habit. Self-criticism, judgment. You're not good enough. They're not good enough. Your personality self needs to vibrate with the intention of your soul. Your personality self has to vibrate with the intention of your soul. Your personality self is locked with a lot of old habits. It's one thing to have a brilliant idea, quite another to implement it. How many times? How many times does your mind need to hear, I am the love of God in human form. I am the love of God in human form. How many times does your mind have to hear that until it starts vibrating with your soul's energy? sustained thinking. How many times do your emotions need to be uplifted by the fact that I am the love of God in human form, and this is the way I want to be? I'm not going to get down on myself, nor become judgmental of others. How many times you need to hear that until mentally and emotionally you're beginning to resonate with the soul's intention. And how many times do you need to get your body off of its mental and emotional couch and do the things that express the love of God? It is true that where the mind goes, the energy follows, but you got to get your body moving with it. Test this out. Test it. Test it. Take your best idea. Take your best idea of how you conceive of yourself and hold it consistently in mind. Until your personality self begins to vibrate with your soul's intention. And as you are able and experience the effectiveness of sustained thinking, but I encourage you to invite others to understand that sustained thought is the power of creation. Till you get that personality self in line. Let me now invite you back to your lovely, lovely breath. Nice, easy breathing. Revitalized, happy, strong. Just notice how good you feel, how confident you feel, strengthened. Ready to embrace the joys of the day. Then gently, just gently breathing your eyes open. I bet you're pretty happy. I just bet you're pretty happy. You know what you're doing. I am an eternal being of light and love. Thus, only good can come to me, and only good can come from me. And we are eternal beings of light and love. Thus, only good can come to us, and only good can come from us. That's a sustained thought. Namaste.